Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, please pray for me by singing along with me, gesturing at your screen, and leaving a like on this video. Let's pray a few more times while we wait for a few guests to show up. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum. You may have noticed that I've been using the like gesture, and the reason for that is that I feel like regaining control in my life again. Something was out of control recently. What had happened was that when we went into the new year in 2025, I had made some goals for the year. You got to remember what the big challenge in 2024 was. In 2024, my art career was booming. I was teaching at two different community colleges. I was getting rave reviews last year, actually. But the problem is that every time I hit any sort of bump in my life, I had no connections. I had days where my car was broken down and I had to scramble to figure out how to get everything done. And so I had times when I burned myself making art. I work with molten metals. So accidents happen, right? And so one time I got sprayed with molten metal over my face. So you guys may remember that. I still have quite a few burn marks from that. And then things like that would make me realize how in good times you don't think about how many friends you don't have because everything's flowing right. I'm busy making art. I'm busy with teaching. I have good rapport with most of my students, and I normally don't think. In fact, I got into a little bit of trouble today because my boss was upset about me oversharing with. I'll get to that in a second with my students, and so that's the kind of rapport I have. And so I normally don't think about that. But run into a heat wave and having COVID-19 and nobody to even pick up some groceries. Oh my God, I almost could have died last summer. I was living in an apartment with really bad air conditioning. Air conditioning died a few times. Didn't have supplies. COVID-19 heat wave, and then I tried to cheer myself up by making some art, and then I got burned. And oh my God, I don't want to think about that again. And then my grandmother passed away in December of last year, right in the midst of all of this. And so I went to my grandmother's funeral in Taipei. My grandmother was born in 1934, just before Mary Curry passed away. They coexisted for some time here on Earth. So I asked her to go talk to Mary Curry, to have Mary Curry set me up on a blind date with one of her descendants. And Mary Curry discovered polonium 210. And it's not exactly the way she discovered it, but polonium 210 is now made from bismuth 209. And so I left a small rock of bismuth in my grandmother's casket for her to bring to Mary Curry so she could continue her research. And the casket was cremated and ashes left in an urn. And now we got to worry about if grave robbers are going to break into the urn now with where bismuth prices are. And so, and that was that. And after I left the funeral, I had a short holiday in Taiwan, and I decided to reactivate a dating profile that I had not used in many years on Bumble. And when I logged into the Bumble, I was disgusted by what I had written all those years ago, as well as the photos that I took all those years ago. I used to be overweight. I had eating disorder problems, and so I had to start the profile all over again. And also, I didn't realize this, but nowadays, when you travel, Bumble follows you, which is fucking annoying because I want to sometimes take a vacation from Phoenix, but I might not want to put everything on pause with my dating life, right? So I went back to Bumble, and I didn't realize it at first, but I was swiping on people in Taiwan, and before I knew it, I was talking to this girl in Taiwan, and I got to see her the last day of the trip. and then I had to fly home, and I was so heartbroken about having to fly home. I still cannot remember how I dragged myself from the hotel to the airport to San Francisco and back here to Phoenix and back to my apartment. I still cannot remember how I did that. I was such a mess. And I remember trying to remind myself that if I could do it once in Taiwan, I could do it once here in the United States as well. And so, and then I go to this book club twice a month, and I asked of the organizer if she knew anybody. And remember, I offer a reward for people who could set me up on a blind date. Uh, I still owe Mary Curry herself one of my rewards. I'm thinking of going to her statue in Poland and so making some jewelry to decorate the statue with, out of some material that she could continue her research with. But I got to think about how to weatherproof it so I could put it on the statue where it will last pretty much forever until it becomes rat poison and poisons all the tourists that touches it. Right? It's got to last at least that long, right? And so I offered one of my friends at the book club a reward, and then I met we'll call her Eve Curry because she is half Polish and loves literature, and all good. All of the people that I met are good. Not all of the dates have gone anywhere, but you know what? Every one of them has been a good experience that I've learned from. Now the problem is that I have been so lost with dating life that so it has caused a lot of turbulence in my life. You got to understand, going from where I was last year to finally holding hands with somebody and doing all this fun stuff is not always a straight line. In between there are dates that don't work out. There are dates that do work out but are up and down. And so for example, the first time I went out with Eve Curry, as I was taking her home, she said that her mom was sensitive about the condition of the house. In fact, they haven't even put the Christmas tree away. And I wasn't sure if that was that or if that was a polite way of saying that I wasn't welcome near their home, right? I wasn't sure. And so things like that have a tendency to cause my eating disorders to to relapse and have cause me to toss and turn in my bed. And then I got a really bad performance review this year. What had happened was that I was getting ready to go see a girl in Houston, and I forgot about the day of the review, and I came here really unprepared, right? And then there was a few other things, right? I got into two arguments with my roommate, in large part because I was so mentally jammed, and my roommate being a little bit more chatty got the better of me, right? I was already overwhelmed. My RAM was all you can think of. There's a certain amount of gigabytes of RAM in my brain, and 90% of that was taken up by the girl, right? And my roommate just starting to chat up a little bit froze everything in there, right? And so that's been the theme of my life for the last 3 months. And fortunately, my goal for Lent, right? When was the beginning of Lent this year? At the beginning of March, I think. My goal for Lent was to put all of this back on Earth again, right? Everything had been going haywire, right? And I'm starting to feel. Let me see what my viewers say. I think the mom was serious about being embarrassed. She probably a hoarder. The mom's kind of interesting. You can think of her as an older version of Evelina Falenta. Evelina Falenta, the second place winner of Polish Idol season one, never really dated anybody, and so and her mom isn't too upset about being divorced and wanting to date anybody ever again, right? Uh, would you date the mom? I think she's a good person. Let's put it that way. And I wish her the best. I hope someday the world becomes more hospitable to people who don't want to date. Right now, the world is not very hospitable. At least here in the United States. Right. Just look at what happened when I got long COVID last year, or what else? Look at what happened when I got the bad performance review last week. I felt all alone in that, and I don't mean all alone in the sense that I don't have somebody in my life. I mean, all alone in the sense that I have to go about it all alone, right? We need a societal substrate that doesn't feel that way, and then I'll probably never date again if we had that, right? Of course, politicians don't like that because then you don't produce new voters, right? New consumers, right? So that's the big problem, right? And so uh, uh, anyway, it's been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It tore me up, and I got a bad performance review, and I was eating 10,000 calories a day, and I'm not sleeping right, and I'm drinking 3-4 grams of caffeine a day, sometimes more, and bad performance reviews. And hey, last month it felt like I was going to lose my job, right, and all that, and so I'm so glad that I still have the girls that I'm seeing, right? And I'm putting all of this back on Earth again. That's why I've been calling it a Peter Leicht show. And I still got a long ways to go. Lately, I've been eating 4 or 5 thousand calories a day, which is much more reasonable. And and I've been sleeping somewhat okay. My sleep schedule's been kind of weird though. It's kind of been oscillating. One night I'll sleep a lot, and then the next night I won't be tired and I'll sleep very little. It's like I have a 48-hour sleep cycle now. I've never slept like this, but hopefully I'll even that out a little bit. Last night I didn't go too crazy, so hopefully tonight I won't miss too much sleep. So, but I need to put, I desperately need to put this back on Earth by Easter Sunday, and so I can get my new contract to teach in the summer, and so that I don't get myself sick eating too much, wreck my immune system, get another case of long COVID. If I get another long COVID this summer, I'm done with. I don't know how I'm going to get through with that. So I need you guys to continue praying for me. Please leave a like on this video. Let's pray together. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Leicht Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Leicht Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Leicht Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Leicht Show. Bum bum